Despite being one of the best-selling consoles of all time, the PlayStation 2's launch was considered underwhelming at the time, as it featured only 11 titles with no clear frontliners. Square Enix had 3 titles planned for the console. One of them was The Bouncer, which appeared on Sony's official PlayStation 2 launch titles list, and was highly anticipated by fans, but was nowhere to be found when the console was released, and ended up being disappointing. Released in 2000 in Japan and 2001 in North America and in Europe, The Bouncer is a beat-em-up game developed by Dream Factory and published by Square Enix, where players can take control of 3 characters that work as bouncers at a bar, Sion, Volt, and Ko, as they embark on a quest to rescue Sion's friend, Dominique, who was kidnapped by a mega corporation called Mikado. The game was directed by Seiichi Ishii, better known for designing the original Virtua Fighter and Tekken, and Tetsuya Nomura was the art director, which perfectly explains why the characters look familiar, such as Make-A-Wish Sora and Jack Punished Garland.
God, I'm already a demon.
The game's main mode is the story mode, which is super short, taking less than 2 hours to beat, with most of its time being spent on cutscenes. Besides its story mode, the game also features a survival mode and a local multiplayer mode, where up to 4 players can take part in a brawl with characters from the game's story. The Bouncer is a beat-em-up that is as basic as it can get. You punch, kick, and throw enemies amidst brawls more confusing than the Montgomery Brawl, without as much as a thought in your head. You get 4 attack buttons, 1 block button, and 1 special button. Besides that, upon completing a combat sequence, players can get points based on how many enemies they last hit, which can be used to upgrade their character stats or buy new special moves. The attacks are low, mid, high, and aerial hitting moves, and that might make you believe that choosing the right option is gonna be an important part of the gameplay, but no, you can just spam whatever you feel like and it will work, with the exception of a few scenarios. Kicking dogs? Jeez, what's next? Punching babies? Since there's no crouching in this game, blocking will block any strike that enemies throw at you, regardless of their height. Technically, throws are supposed to beat that, but I don't think I saw a single enemy attempt to throw my character on my whole playthrough. The special button allows players to perform special moves by holding it down and pressing 1 or more attack buttons at the same time. But I've gotta say, the specials in this game are really underwhelming. What is more disappointing is that even though the beat-em-up genre always had a lot of juggling enemies going on, in The Bouncer you don't really get a lot of opportunities to keep passing enemies around like it's the NBA. Hitting enemies mid-air doesn't launch up them higher, unless you hit them with another launcher, and since launchers throw enemies far away from the player, the only situations that you will be able to juggle enemies for a while are when you get them pressed against a wall. But even so, the angles that they fall might screw up your combo. This game's biggest problem, however, is its camera. I don't know how the devs did it, but it's truly satanic. The camera's positioning and inability to follow the action properly truly makes it feel like you're watching the brawls take place through the lenses of a CCTV camera, which makes sense as the fights that happen here are just your average Black Friday brawl at Walmart. While enemies getting off camera during fights is annoying, it is nothing compared to the segments where the player gets to move around. These small segments are remnants of some of the cut content for this game, and not only feels horrible to play them, but they also feel completely out of place. On one of these segments, you have to gently jog over halls as the world's lowest sliding doors close to contain the incoming flood. Yeah, take your time, my man. Save your energy for heaven. The only hindrance to this comical scenario is that the camera causes you to get stuck in the middle of these holes. It's almost like the camera being bad was purposely made to be the game's main challenge. In another one, you have to look for a way into the room in the Mikado building where Dominic is being held, and it's easy to get lost with the horrendous camera angles. The most nonsensical one is when the main characters are trying to find a way to detach the train's car containing fuel, and you're supposed to open up boxes to see if any of them has a key card that would allow to perform the action. But there is nothing in any of the boxes, and then a cutscene plays with them just jumping off the train. What was the point of this? Was it really necessary to force me to look around into these boxes? But nonsense is something that this game is full of, especially in its story. Despite being short, I felt like Mugetsu by the end of it. The basic plot is the bodyguard if Kazdan was a 12-year-old that suffered severe cranial damage during his early childhood and took DMT before writing the script. Right after Dominic is snatched, you would think that these guys who work as bouncers at a random bar in town would be helpless to chase off the damsel in distress and having to fight off a mega corporation that has cyber ninjas and futuristic hovercraft jets with machine guns at their disposal. But no, with the power of friendship, hopes and dreams, they can somehow survive against all odds without a single scratch. Also, I guess the guards who have holster pistols feel like giving these guys a fair chance. Don't just stand there, pop them in the head, kill them! While pretty much invulnerable to all harms in their way, these three protagonists also suffer from a concerningly low level of brain activity. Why are we leaving the girl that we've been chasing for so long here on the floor just so this guy can grab her? Why are we letting the main villain finish checking up on his spelling on his Kingdom Hearts fanfic? And why does Sion have the memory of a goldfish? He sees a picture of Chaldea on a computer, concludes that she didn't disappear in an accident as it was said to him before, yet he can't tell that the panther is her 5 minutes later. The main villain's motivations are just a little disproportional. He wants vengeance on the world for his sister's death, and the quote-unquote humiliation that he had to go through to become the heir of the company. But the game doesn't develop on any of that. His adopted father just seems to be restrictive at worst, but not abusive like Gozaburo Kaiba. My sister died. I was adopted. Billions must die. The fact that towards the end of the story, Dominique is revealed to be pretty much a synth opens up a lot of questions that will go unanswered forever. How did she become sentient and have her own will? Why didn't she kick everyone's asses at the first attempt of capturing her? Could she ever eat or drink anything at a bar? And how does that work for Sion? Are people just casually in love with robots in this world? And let Jesus take the wheel on risks of discharges? Or is advanced electroshock CBT the meta here? Do cyber ninjas dream of electrical Hitsuji? Also, at the end of the story, who's attacking the villain ship? Wasn't the city supposed to be completely under his control? Who are they who are trying to halt his ship's advance? Who knows? All I know is that 2 hours feels somehow too long. The Bouncer was a highly anticipated game due to its impressive trailers at the time. The game's video demo showcased at gaming conventions displayed a pretty high level of graphical fidelity for the time, and the fancy engine capabilities with destructible scenarios was impressive. However, the game ran into serious trouble during its development and had a lot of its content cut. Square Enix remained silent for the game's release date for nearly 2 years, and that raised suspicions at the time that the game wasn't going to be as great as it was showcased in its demos. After many cuts, the game was released on a massive delay. completely missing the PlayStation 2's launch window, partially because the development team had a lot of trouble working with the PS2's hardware. With no destructible environments and small remnants of the adventure that was displayed on trailers, the game ended up being a disappointing, bare-bones beat-em-up that doesn't do anything impressive gameplay or story-wise. Its many delays and bad preview reviews caused the Bouncer to be a financial failure, shyly selling less than 400,000 units worldwide, pushing it towards the realm of forgotten games. A massive failure, the Bouncer is one of those games that Square Enix would prefer if no one remembered it. Never re-released on any platform, the game is only memorable for how it failed to deliver upon player expectations and how it marked the beginning of the death of Dream Factory. The company had worked before with Square Enix in Ehrgeiz, which I covered in this video, and somehow Square thought that it was a good idea to have them work on another game. After the Bouncer's failure, the studio got ditched by Square and went on to create another massive commercial failure under Microsoft, with Kakuto Chojin, which, as we all know, was the best and most influential fighting game of all time. The Bouncer is not even a terrible game, it's just aggressively mediocre, and that makes it more forgettable and uninteresting, especially with how excited people were for it back in the day. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe and leave a comment, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.